We are going to look at the Super Bowl. Before we do, we should preface this with this. 2 episodes still this week. We've got a full one today. We've got a full one on Thursday. That Thursday episode is going to be our full-blown Super Bowl preview. We will give you every detailed way to bet the Super Bowl according to the model, according to our personal plays, and plenty more. For today, we're really just going to give you this Super Bowl segment and save the rest for Thursday. But I guess for today's show, let's talk about 5 things that you need to know going into the Super Bowl.
Yeah, these are going to be some little nuggets of information I've uncovered looking around, seen on podcasts, other people calling out, little bits that we found in our projections and things that could hopefully give us a little bit of insight onto how certain players are going to be used, certain formations that will be deployed and whatnot. But real quick, before we get into these things, I do have to call out that our, we've mentioned the Dimers app finally launching, and that is up now on both iOS and Google Play stores. But we also have in there an exclusive little big game contest we're running for Patriots versus Seahawks. And if you play this, it's right in the app. If you log in, you can just make your little picks, not unlike a little pick'em contest you've seen before. We are giving away $500 cash and 3 months of Dimers Pro access. If you have to have a subscription to get this, so we'll add the 3 months right on to your existing sub. And you can kind of compare it to the Dimers projections to see how you shake out, see if you could beat the model, so to speak. I've made my picks. I am not in the running for the prize, unfortunately, as much as I would like to win $500 cash and 3 months of Dimers Pro onto my unlimited Dimers Pro sub. But you can log onto the app and make your picks. I think it's 5 of them with a tiebreaker, and take your shot at 500 bones and 3 months of Dimers Pro.
Love it. Okay, there we go. So do you want to start with the first one here?
Yeah, I'll jump right in with the first one of these. And we kind of talked about this on a previous show, but just want to highlight a couple little deeper parts about it. And it's Jackson Smith-Njigba's historic season. He led the NFL with 1,793 receiving yards. He's probably going to be a first-round pick in fantasy drafts next year. Maybe depending on how quarterback situation looks like, if they commit to Sam Darnold long-term. Seahawks reaching the Super Bowl puts him in a very exclusive group with only 3 other wide receivers who led the league in receiving yards and made it to the Super Bowl. That's Jerry Rice twice, Drew Pearson, and Cooper Kupp. As we mentioned, those teams all went 4-0 in the Super Bowl. Dimers model now projects JSN for almost 100 yards in this, pretty much reflecting or echoing those performances that we've seen before in the past by the top wideouts. Currently at 95.9 receiving yards, 6.6 receptions, a 45.7% probability for 1 touchdown, 12.6% for multiple, and 11.3% to score the first touchdown. He's accounted for 44.3% of Sam Darnold's passing yards this season. So he's the entire offense, so to speak. Not quite literally, but if he is going to be shut down in this game, or rather if the Patriots want any chance in this game, they need to completely shut him down. And they've largely struggled against containing this type of wide receiver, movement-based, high-volume guys. Notable performances: Drake London, 9 catches for 118 and 3 touchdowns. Egbuka, 6 catches for 115 and a touchdown. Tyreek Hill, before he got injured, 5 catches for 109. Chris Olave, 6 for 98. Jacoby Myers, 8 for 97. It goes on. New England also only faced 1 top 10 passing offense all season. That was the Bills. And that was all because of Josh Allen, not because of the wide receivers. There was no one of JSN's caliber on that team. And he's going to have a pretty tough matchup against Christian Gonzalez. He's done a really good job at limiting receivers' production. So really their only chance is to basically completely shut him down. But if he plays freely, history really favors Seattle here. If you are, concerned about the matchup with Christian Gonzalez, this kind of points to the angle I talked about last week of Rashid Shaheed probably having a good day based on his big playability, his average depth of target, his low lines as far as a betting angle. But at the end of the day, you're getting an absolute alpha wide receiver who's done something very few ever have in history. And the Patriots have just not had very much experience facing a guy of this caliber this season. He's either going absolutely nuclear or probably not doing much and opening the door for somebody else. It's a tough bet on him, I think, a bit, because his line's going to be so high. Like, you have to bet him basically to get a 100-yard game to find any sort of profit off of him. However, you could probably correlate that a bit with, if you think the Patriots are going to pull this off, they cover the spread and and JSN goes under, something like that. But there's likely to be a very strong correlation in those.
Yeah. It feels like the more we look at this matchup, the one obvious glaring advantage is definitely the Seattle passing game. Whether or not that turns into JSN just being unstoppable, Gonzalez limiting him, and then they turn to the secondary options. Obviously, we love Shaheed. We see a lot of value there personally from the last week. We'll have more on that on Thursday. But even like Cooper Kupp, even Barner, even some of the secondary targets, I feel like are probably going to find success if JSN is limited in any way. But if New England's going to win this game or hang, I think they're going to have to find answers elsewhere. I'd be pretty stunned if they just shut down the Seattle passing attack. And maybe one of their answers potentially comes from shutting down the Seattle run game, because there are two dominant run defenses in this game on both sides. Starting with Seattle, they led the NFL in yards per carry allowed this season, while the Patriots ranked 25th in rushing EPA offensively. Ramondre Stevenson and Travion Henderson have seen declining yards per carry in every playoff game up until now. The Dimers model projects the Pats running backs for just 76.1 combined rushing yards, 56 of them to Stevenson, 20 of those to Henderson. There is a little bit of touchdown value on Ramondre for both one touchdown and two at 44.9% likely to score in this game. And you can get odds of plus 150 there. But, I think it is pretty telling here. Again, the identities of these teams. I feel like New England wants to run the ball with this two-headed attack. They may just be running into their own death against what Seattle does best. But on the flip side, if there's a spot defensively that I think New England is likely to hold up well against, it will be the run game. We know that Zach Charbonnet is out, and in the first game without Charbonnet, Seattle really just put it all on Kenneth Walker. And I think this Pats run defense has spoken for itself in the playoff run. They've been dominant ever since Milton Williams got healthy. Williams returned in week 18, and since then, no running back has topped 50 rushing yards against the Pats. Playoff running back rush totals allowed are 37, 31, 17, 14, and 11. That's right. No running back in the playoffs has even hit 40 yards against New England. Now, our model projects Kenneth Walker to basically put an end to this. 80.1 rushing yards is his projection, but me speaking for myself personally here, I do think there's a world New England bottles up the run game, and maybe if the pass game looks as favorable towards Seattle as we think it is, they could just lean entirely in that and turn their back away from Walker entirely. If they do, one angle to look for could be Kenneth Walker as a receiver. The Pats have allowed the sixth most receptions to running backs this season. And in recent weeks, as Walker even takes on more of a rushing load burden, he's still been putting up sizable numbers: 29 receiving yards, 36, 49, and 67 in recent weeks. Our model projects 23.3 receiving yards for Kenneth Walker in the Super Bowl, but it will be interesting to watch how he's used.
Yeah, a bit of maybe even a conservative projection there. It doesn't take him very much to get going. We've seen him break really long catch and runs. They like to go to him early as well. So, I mean, even if you want to tackle him for, one reception in the first quarter, 5 yards in the first quarter, you're going to get plus money odds on that. Really interesting case of both defenses being absolutely shut down. And the diminishing returns for the Patriots running backs is really interesting to me, because you don't really expect that they're going to be able to beat Seattle through the air, and they're really going to need to find a balance in that run game. So we'll be really curious to watch that matchup. And they could not have gotten Milton Williams back at a better time in New England. Speaking of matchups, one that's notably the pretty much softest spot for Seattle, and maybe the way the Patriots will have to attack them in this game, is the defense versus tight ends. Seahawks were excellent this year, obviously. Under 200 passing yards per game, but they were 27th in yards allowed per game to tight ends, seeing 8.6 targets, 6.2 receptions per game to the position. Pretty good at limiting scoring damage. So I don't know if I'm jumping on Hunter Henry or even Austin Hooper to score a touchdown or anything, though. I mean, Austin Hooper's the exact type of deep cut guy you like to see in the Super Bowl. His odds are probably crazy comparatively to Henry's anyway. But they were really vulnerable in middle of the field production to tight ends all year. Patriots are likely to try and exploit this with Hunter Henry, who's their second leading pass catcher of the entire season. He's run 76 routes through 3 playoff games. He's basically their second go-to guy in the passing game. And this is with players like Stephon Diggs, Kayshon Boutte, even Demario Douglas, who have shown big playability. That's just one fewer route than Diggs. He's on the field as much as he is, contributing just as much as he is in the offense. Currently projecting Henry for 3.5 receptions, 41.2 receiving yards. Pretty modest, not expecting him to go crazy, but that is the third most receiving yards in this game, rather. So while it's low in terms of, actual number of yards, the amount of yards he's accruing, it's pretty high comparatively in this game. So if you're looking for one kind of sneaky, tertiary as far as a name is concerned, but actually really like a secondary pass catcher, it would be Hunter Henry. And, the Patriots are going to have to find creative ways to get after the Seahawks defense. This is one spot that teams have been able to all year. Wouldn't be surprised to see Henry have at least a big day or a busy day from targets. If he's unable to actually capitalize on them, he's going to see the ball come his way a few extra times in this game, I think.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all. I feel like this has been a positional spot that we've circled pretty much every week of the season leading up to this, and auto played in terms of props. There's got to be some value somewhere on Henry. You can probably talk yourself into what version of that you want, whether it's a ladder, whether it's touchdown value, whether it's receptions ladder instead of yards. But either way, I'd be shocked if he's not a massive part of this game plan. And again, if we talk through the game script here, it feels to me like, given the running struggles we expect and maybe Seattle to build an early lead here, I think you're going to see New England run a lot of pass plays. And when they do, one thing that I'll be watching is how they protect Drake May. It hasn't gone well in the playoffs. There's been sack issues, but you could probably classify it as sack issues for Seattle's defense too. More on that in a moment. Drake May has been taken down 15 times in the playoffs and equal 5 sacks in each postseason game thus far. This Seattle defense should be able to pounce on that, except they don't blitz a lot. They just get pressure on the quarterback organically from that front 7. They rank bottom 3rd in blitz rate, but top 3rd in pressure efficiency on the season. Even though they've graded out well over the course of the regular season in this area without blitzing, they haven't gotten to the quarterback in their 2 playoff games. Now, they haven't needed to. They're in the Super Bowl, but only 3 total sacks across 2 playoff games. I would guarantee you Seattle's going to like their chances a lot more if they can continue the success the defenses have had getting to Drake May. If they pressure but don't finish, that's where I think you see Drake May's legs become a serious part of this game. And the Dimers model does project Drake May for 38.1 rushing yards. You can get plus money at May to total 40 or more rushing yards. He already has 2 games with 60 plus rushing yards in the playoffs, and he's the 3rd highest rushing projected player in this game. If they have to turn away from the traditional run plays, if Henderson and Stevenson are getting nothing going, if they fall down 14-0, I think this is going to be the game script. Drake May's improvisation against a Seattle defense that will drop a lot into coverage, still get pressure on the pocket, but probably not get to the quarterback. I'm going to have a hard time not adding some Drake May rushing props here, I think, the more I look at this, Dave.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And it aligns perfectly with their diminishing returns from the running backs. You're not going to be able to get away with it very long if that's the case. Henderson's been an absolute slog in the running game, and Ramondre's, efficiency is dipping lower and lower as games go by. We saw May call his own number at the end of that Broncos game. Wouldn't be surprised to see him do the same thing on an even bigger stage. Yeah, that's what we're trying to look for here is the matchup suggest this one thing, this was what could be the byproduct of that matchup. And in this scenario, it's Drake May could find himself pretty busy with his legs. One last thing I want to look at is less of a fact and if a stat, if you will, and more of just kind of like a fun way to look at our projections alongside a little bit of line reading, I guess, and some key number betting, I guess, kind of all rolled into one. So our simulations project an average final score of 25-21 in favor of Seattle. That number comes from over 10,000 simulations from the initial run to all subsequent updates. So it's not always going to land on the, a precise football score like 25. So we end up with 25 points here. But if you add just one key number higher, one football score higher to each side, you get 28-24, a very believable football score, which also happens to be the exact opposite of the Super Bowl when the Seahawks and Patriots played last time. So it's a very fun, not super data-backed way to bet on this game. But sometimes weird stuff happens. We've seen funny narratives rear their head all season long and in seasons past. You can play this exact score at 250-1 odds on FanDuel. $2 wins $500 type of stuff. As low as 150-1 on DraftKings. So that's a notable pricing discrepancy just on the bet itself. It's $100 difference on a single dollar for reference. It completely aligns with our model's projections in this game, which is a Seattle win, a New England cover, and the over of 45.5. Is it likely to happen? No. It's the very definition of a long shot, but it is a fun little narrative on flipping the script for these two teams to meet in for the second time. And we've seen, as we talked about before, a lot of split series happening in these Super Bowl rematches. So just kind of a little fun way to play the game, give you something to root for the whole way. If not, look for that, maybe Super Bowl squares type of stuff. You can have some fun with that, but a little side play to look at this game that I couldn't help but ignore when I was going through our predictions and all the results in the past and whatnot.
Do you know how rewarding it would be to hit an exact score Super Bowl bet? Just imagine sitting at the Super Bowl party you're at, or even on the couch next to your wife, like, "Hey, honey, I just hit a 250-1." Like that's you. At that point, you might as well be O's the Mentalist.
The wings are on me. Yeah, right. He's probably got that in one of his episodes somewhere, or one of these Hard Knocks visitations he's made. They're always guessing that and everything. Really good. But yeah, I couldn't help it. I mean, it's the game, right? Like if you're going to bet an exact score, might as well be the game. It has an entire mini party game based around getting the exact score right at various parts of the contest.
Yeah. Yep. Fun way to look at the Super Bowl always. Okay. There's 5 things you need to know. Appreciate your insights as always, Dave. And it was cool to give a little call out to the exact score projections because that's how Dimers Pro works. If you use Dimers Pro, you go into our game predictions, you do get a projected score that is based on those 10,000 plus simulations that Dave discussed. And we've used that data before in real time with soccer games to hit some pretty fun tickets. And it is a really cool way to use the model's insights that we don't talk about nearly as much as we do with player props and game projections in general against the spread. So that's all in there as well. Make sure you get Dimers Pro so that you can see this for yourself and use it how you'd like. 50% off with Dimers Pro. Enter promo code podcast. And if you haven't yet, you should before Super Bowl Sunday so that you can get all of this information to the fullest.